Reeves. And, Richard, I appreciate you coming in the studio. Talking about mind control, talk about the pimp game, I want to just show a clip. And because of time constraints, just go to Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, and you can see Axelrod, one of the White House operators, one of the strategists, on there telling Stephanopoulos, another Clinton operative, basically one of his colleagues, that, yeah, we're probably going to go ahead and look at raising taxes on people's health care and a bunch of other stuff below $125,000 a year apiece, or $250,000 as a couple. And they've already raised a bunch of other taxes. So the point is that Obama's lying about that. Do you guys have that clip? Trying to pull it up. We had it earlier here. I sent it to you at the start of the show in the IM. Well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the show, we'll just show people the article so that they can at least be aware of that and know what is going on with that report. Here it is. Top White House advisor, Obama won't rule out middle-class tax hike. I could just do it this way, good old-fashioned way, right here on screen for people. Folks can just zoom in on that, give you a source on that, and you can see a clip of Obama saying we're not going to raise taxes on anybody but over $250,000 a year in any way. You have my pledge, an absolute pledge from him. And then it cuts to the White House now saying, oh, get ready, we're going to raise your taxes probably on those below it. So, top White House advisor, Obama won't rule out middle-class tax hike. Okay, going to Richard Reeves. Richard, speaking of lying, 10 years ago they started announcing we're going to build a NAFTA superhighway all over the country, 34 major interstate highways, I-35 from the Pacific Ocean side of southern Mexico all the way up through Texas, Minnesota, up into Canada. And it's going to be an international zone. You'll pay taxes to use it. And people said they didn't want it, so they said, okay, it doesn't exist. You're crazy. You don't talk about those news articles we said. So the, right. so the Pentagon psyop. If you don't like it? Oh, well, I didn't just announce on the news we're doing that. It's crazy. You're schizophrenic. Well, but then they came back and said, okay, it's NAFTA, superhighways, Trans-Texas corridor. It's going to be great and it's going to be wonderful. And we learned it was going to be $165 to drive to Dallas and back to Austin according to their own documents and all their maps. Then we said we don't want it, and they said it doesn't exist again. Then they started building the roads, putting the toll roads in, saying it didn't exist as you were paying the tolls. CNN was saying Ron Paul's insane. There's no Texas corridor, no. I mean, I had those clips. It doesn't exist as I'm sticking money in it with giant billboards saying Trans-Texas corridor. So now they said, okay, we're canceling it, and pull up the AP. Trans-Texas corridor canceled AP. But then paragraph 3 said, oh, we're keeping it all. We're just not going to call it that anymore. So it's all semantical, psyops, CIA, black ops. Just we're not assaulting Waco. You know, there's WMDs in Iraq. But the good news is we've got them cornered now into lying. They've canceled it as it continues. Now they're really discredited. Richard Reeves, there's a big fight coming up tomorrow in Tejas, the first big leg of the takeover of the U.S. by the UN through these corporate systems.
That's right, Alex. And I tell you, I want to thank you for having me on because this is a clutch show, an absolutely clutch show. You covered it real well that we have put them into PSYOP mode. We've put them into PSYOP mode since somewhere around 2004, 2005 when it comes to this Trans-Texas corridor issue and toll road issue. And I want to kind of broaden it a little bit. It's not just Trans-Texas corridor, but it's also about taking over existing roads and putting tolls on them.
8,000 miles of roads, 10 miles on each side of the road for private corporate interests. That's why they had the New London Kilo decision saying private interests can take your profit. Take your property for profit, not even for eminent domain. And my dad got letters, and so did I as a landowner, saying, oh, here's the Texas Landowners Bill of Rights. And it said, you have no rights. You got 6 weeks when we make an offer to take it, or we take it and you don't get anything. So you have a right to, again, the pimp game, to be a slave. You have a right to be burned with cigarettes and beaten with a tire iron.
Well, that's right. Well, absolutely. And you just broadened the subject even further that I had not even mentioned. It is a big deal about property rights. Huge issue of property rights involving these toll roads, involving taking existing roads and putting tolls on them, and involving the Trans-Texas corridor, NAFTA highway, whatever semantical words you want to use to call them. But we've got a chance tomorrow. We are calling for a huge rally here at the state capitol, and we're going to have Robert Morrow and TexasTurf.org, Terry Hall's organization, TexasTurf.org, and a bunch of people are going to be here in the state capitol tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to meet at the cafeteria. That's on floor E1 of the state capitol, and we're going to lobby all these state reps We're going to lobby all these state reps, and we need everybody around Texas to call their state reps, because one of the things, as well as eminent domain issues and as well as all these projects to crush the sovereignty of the United States, they're also talking about now that to use the pension funds of teachers and other government entities. Yeah,
the cops out there SWAT teaming us for booty are not going to lose their pension fund.
Exactly.
Just what they want.
And a great example of
Well, see, that's the pimp game. The big pimps are going to hurt the little pimps.
Right. And, as George Soros said, let no crisis go unused. Well, we can kind of say the same thing, because it seems like every time we get to a little clutch pinch point like this, we just happen to have a news story break in our favor. And one of them is about SH-121. And I know you're familiar with SH-121 because you're from the Fort Worth, Dallas Metroplex area. I spent 3 decades up in that area myself many years ago. And SH-121 is a very key piece of road. It's a bypass for traffic traveling east or west on I-30 and I-20. You can go SH-121 up to McKinney, Texas, and then go on up into Chicago towards the Midwest, Oklahoma, Kansas City, Missouri, etc. And you can take that route and avoid one of the worst, most heinous bottlenecks of all time, and that's LBJ Freeway, I-635, up there in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Which is gridlock from 3:30 in the afternoon till 8 at night.
It's absolutely gridlock, and I want to appeal to the folks in Dallas-Fort Worth area right now. Call your state reps. Come.
Because this is the beta test where it's like an amoeba. We expose it to heat, so it splits up into a bunch of other little pieces, or kind of like in the movie The Thing, where like even the blood runs into the corners. Has a mind of its own. When you cut the head off, it just they are now just doing it each one piecemeal.
And you just bring that up about the amoebas and how they work. And I've been to many of these House committee hearings here at the state level, at the state capitol. I've been to Senate committee hearings. And the majority of people that show up, I want to let the audience know, the majority of people that are showing up to these hearings are wearing suits. They're lobbyists. They're not regular people like Richard Reeves and other people.
And they're lobbyists from foreign governments.
Exactly.
America is the big whorehouse where they can buy anything they want. And they buy it from these little creatures, that they call representatives.
That's right. That's right. And going back to this SH-121, I got to tell you a little story. I'll try to cut it as short as possible, because you're indirectly very involved in what happened in SH-121 up in Dallas-Fort Worth area. Here's what happened. In January, February of 2007, Sintra got the contract for SH-121.
Which is Spanish-owned, and the Chronicle said it was not Spanish-owned.
But here's what
Talk about deception.
Here's what happened. The NTTA, the North Texas Turnpike Authority, the outfit that runs, it's a government outfit, public outfit, that runs the North Dallas Tollway, and they've got other toll roads that they're generating all kinds of revenue with. They wanted a crack at SH-121, and they were wanting to pony up, and in fact, as far as I know, did pony up the $2 billion to take over SH-121. And the way that happened was that yours truly, Bob Dacey, and many other great local activists that you ignited, you're responsible for this indirectly, because it was our group of local Austin activists and San Antonio activists that went to the Texas Transportation Commission in 2007, the summer of 2007, and when they were fighting over the NTTA getting the contract for SH-121 or Sintra getting the contract for SH-121, we were the ones, we were arguing for a freeway. But knowing that freeway wasn't necessarily a viable option, we were also saying, look, we don't want it to be a toll road, but give it to the NTTA. It's a public corporation. That way, when Texans get mad enough to get their road back, they can get it back. Don't give it to Sintra. That's a 52-year agreement that the NTTA...
Yeah, so you're using factions, divide and conquer against them. Now, expanding, if somebody's in Indiana or Florida or New Jersey or California, this is happening everywhere. And now Obama wants to put satellite tracker boxes in all the cars to tax you by the mile. I saw the federal documents on that 12 years ago. Now it's openly happening. So tell folks about this meeting tomorrow, and we're going to take some calls.
Well, the meeting tomorrow is at 10 a.m. at the cafeteria in the state capitol. That's on floor E1. Basically, you can ask anybody at the Capitol once you walk in and ask them where the cafeteria is on floor E1. Go there 10 a.m. Robert Morrow has given me permission to put his cell phone out on the air, 512-496-1293, 512-496-1293. If you have any questions, call him. But for sure, go to TexasTurf.org, and there's a function on there where you can find your rep on that website, Texas Turf.
And again, this is happening and going on everywhere. Right. People, bottom line, get involved in the fight. Let's take some calls, Richard. Anti-Illuminati in Nevada. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Alex. How you doing?
Good. Go ahead.
we're going to stab the New World Order in the heart today. In referencing what you were talking about earlier with the Xbox controllers and the UAVs and so forth, what that is the culmination of what PTEC was used for to engineer the Global Command and Control System, and that's headed up by General James E. Cartwright. Okay, and that's all that stuff is tied into the global information grid infrastructure, and this is what they've been working on this stuff for at least since 95.
And by the way, I promised to show this. This is Wired.com. Spy ships guiding CIA drone skies, locals say. It sounds like a tinfoil hat nightmare come to life. Tiny electronic homing beacons guide CIA killer drones to their targets, but local residents and Taliban militants in Pakistan's tribal wetlands, wildlands, say that that's exactly what's happening. And then I actually had another article, I think it was London Telegraph's the one I want.